Oh, we have more to talk about. Let's talk about Ted and Crow first. Or
I still
Crow.
remember.
Ah, god damn it, again, I forgot I have to read. The day I first met Ted and Crow, chasing their father about the hideaway one moment, clinging to their mother's kirtle the next. The twins' love for their parents was something to behold, so fierce and pure. When they passed, I feared the void they left in the children's lives could never be filled. Neither spoke nor smiled for years, hiding themselves away here in the shelves to bury their sorrows in the leaves of the tomes.
And thank goodness they did.
For I believe the stories proved a welcome distraction as over time their pain faded, and now they laugh and frolic as they once did, if not with more vigor. They remind us that no matter how deep our wounds, we all have the capacity to heal. And that happiness lost may be found again. Last 5 years?
It has been difficult, certainly.
When Titan visited his wrath upon us on that dreadful night, we lost much. He robbed us not only of our home and our loved ones, but of that which Sid fought fiercest to preserve, our hope. Hope that we might never have found again had you not taken his name and become our light in the darkness.
Had you not led us here.
To Ben-Umir and the Invincible, where among the ghosts of the fallen our journey can continue. Here, in the belly of a Leviathan untouched by the passing of 1,000 years, does our hope burn brighter than ever, and here may it burn for 1,000 more. Is there a Leviathan in this game as well? We'll find out at some point. Alright, the hideaway.
Look around you.
While it is a far cry from the Imperial Library in Oriflamme, in 5 short years we have amassed more volumes than most men or women might hope to see in their lifetime. No longer are the tales they contain hidden away from all but the privileged. We have liberated them, that they may fill the minds of all who hunger for knowledge.
Still.
There is much more out there, and as long as I draw breath, I shall continue to gather what I can.
Why?
One day, a chronicle of your own adventures might even grace these shelves, or failing that, the floor. Okay.
I have compiled some new entries, if you would like to see them.
Yes, of course. Show me, old man. Whoa, that's a lot. Okay,
If you have a question for me, I should be happy to answer it.
Yeah, we're gonna stay here for quite some time, and of course we're gonna start with points of interest. Not points, persons of interest. Woof. Yeah. Alright, I have a feeling this will be one whole video again, one whole episode, just talking about everything that we can learn so far. So let's get started. Clive Rosfield at the new hideaway. After Sid fell and his hideaway was reduced to rubble at the hands of Hugo Kupka, Clive took on both his predecessor's name and role, becoming the second Sid the Outlaw and leader of the re-established resistance. Together with the other survivors and their new recruits, he continues Sid's mission to emancipate bearers and rid the realm of mother crystals. Joshua Rosfield unmasked. Dominant of the Phoenix and former heir to the ducal throne, Joshua was thought to have died at the hands of the second Icon of Fire during the disaster at Phoenix Gate. However, he is very much alive, traveling the realm even now, his true identity hidden by a heavy cowl and an assumed name, that of Lord Margris. Jill Varric at the new hideaway. Dominant of Shiva and trusted confidant of Clive, leader of the new hideaway. Together they continue Sid's mission to emancipate bearers and rid the realm of mother crystals. Torgal at the new hideaway. Clive's faithful friend, he is fiercely protective of him and his allies. Loath as he is to lose his best friend again and never strays far from Clive's side. Putting the hunting skills Sid taught him to use in fending off foes and picking up trails. Sidolphus Talaman, Sid the Outlaw. Leader of the hideaway and dominant of Ramuh, Warden of Thunder. His plan to create a world where bearers and dominants could die on their own terms meant destroying the mother crystals. An act of blasphemy that would see him forever denounced as an outlaw. It was during their mission to fell Drake's head in 873 that Sidolphus Talaman lost his life to a beast from the beyond, passing the title Sid the Outlaw on to his protege Clive. Hugo Kupka in pursuit of Sid. Permanent economic advisor to the Damakian parliament and dominant of Titan. He has little love for his country, taking advantage of his position to benefit himself and himself alone. After learning that Sid the Outlaw, the man who slew the love of his life, Benedicta Harmon, still lives, He takes his personal guard with capturing and torturing bearers in order to draw out his nemesis and take his revenge. Yeah, he still thinks that he killed Benedicta, but actually it was Clive when he was Ifrit fighting Garuda. Otto at the new hideaway. Chief steward of Clive's hideaway, Otto continues to serve the same role he did under Sid, being the primary person in charge of all monies and information coming into and going out of the hideaway. Karen at the new hideaway. One of Sid's most trusted allies after Sid's hideaway was laid waste to by Hugo Kupka and his minions, she and her hardworking yet long-suffering apprentice Gertz followed Clive to the new hideaway in Benumir, where they serve him in the same capacity they served his predecessor, sourcing whatever supplies her fellow residents are in need of. Gertz as Prentice Smith. Apprentice to Karen and ally of the hideaway. After Sid's hideaway was reduced to rubble at the hands of Hugo Kupka, he followed his nun in joining Clive at their new home on the lake. He has a keen interest in smithing and spends what little spare time he is granted heating and hammering metal, just as Blackthorn showed him. Blackthorn at the new hideaway. Resident blacksmith of Clive's hideaway, where he keeps the new Sid the Outlaw and his allies well outfitted with arms and armor. Though he is usually a sullen and secretive sort, his knowledge he is happy to share with Gertz, who has long been eager to learn the art of smithing. Harpocrates II Hyperboreus at the new hideaway. The hideaway's resident historian. After Sid's death and the destruction of his home, he joined Clive at the new hideaway, establishing a grand library within the walls of the fallen ruin, from whence he continues to share his knowledge with any who will listen. He has taken the orphaned twins Ted and Crow as his apprentices, though they have yet to prove the most attentive audience. Vivian Ninetails. When I hear Ninetails, I think of the nine-tailed fox. A scholar and strategist who makes her home in the hideaway, analyzing every shred of information that comes in from the wider world in order to divine the dispositions of the realms, armies, and those who lead them. She offers her insight to Clive that he might better understand the lay of the land. The moniker Ninetails, of which she herself is fond, was gifted her by her fellow scholars in recognition of her ability to speak at length on almost any subject. Ah, okay. Kenneth, the taste of home, and if I've seen it correctly, he's dead. Let's see. Chief cook at Sid's hideaway, who lost his life on the night of Hugo Kupka's attack. He was well loved both for his ever genial, how do you pronounce that?
Genial.
Nature and the toothsome fare he concocted from the limited ingredients available in their Deadland home. Indeed, many of Kenneth's dishes remain on the menu in Clive's new hideaway. Ted, one of a pair of young twins who assist Harpocrates in the hideaway library, or at least are tasked to. In practice, he spends most of his time reading books and teasing tomes with his sister Crow. Though their parents were both bearers, Ted was spared that burden. Alas, he was not spared the tragedy of losing both his mother and father when Sid's hideaway was laid low. And his sister Crow, one of a pair of young twins who assist Harpocrates in the hideaway library, or at least are tasked to. In practice, she spends most of her time reading books and teasing tomes with her brother Ted. Born a bearer like her parents, but spared the prejudice and persecution that they were forced to suffer, alas, she was not spared the tragedy of losing both her mother and father when Sid's hideaway was laid low. Victor, a friend of Sid's and later Clive's, who keeps an ever-attentive vigil on the comings and goings in Dalmikia from his hometown of Kostnitz. The mysterious Watcher, scion of a lesser noble family of Dalmikia, tasked by Hugo Kupka to trace the whereabouts of Sid the Outlaw, the man he believes slew Benedicta Harmon. His investigations lead him to Eastpool, where he overhears Clive and Gav's conversation and follows them back to Sid's hideaway. Medicine Girl, an orphan girl who pays for her bread by making and selling medicines. And last person of interest, Ultima, an otherworldly being that Clive encountered in the inner sanctum of Drake's Head. He addressed Clive as Mythos before attempting to merge their consciousnesses. Whoa, okay. That's what he tried to do, alright. However, Clive was able to summon the will to resist the creature before Joshua returned from the dead to imprison it in a cage of flame that he sealed away in his own heart. In his heart? Okay. Right. We will have to learn more about Ultima at some point. Now let's take a look at Lay of the Land. Valistia after the fall of Drake's Head, a realm comprising the twin continents of Storm and Ash, over which the Mother Crystals stand timeless vigil. Timeless, that is, until Sid and his disciples commence their campaign to bring each down, starting with Drake's Head, crashing down, spreading chaos and confusion throughout the great cities and nations of Valistia. Sid's hideaway following the destruction of the Dominion. A hidden refuge built on fallen ruins in the Blightlands of Central Storm. Here, Sid and his adopted family of freed bearers from across the Twins made their home. That is, until the fledgling Utopia was brought crashing down after its location was discovered by Hugo Kupka, Dominant of Titan, in the year 873. In but a single night, the hideaway was destroyed, fewer than half managing to escape the slaughter visited upon them by Kupka and his men. Banamir, a lake in the Blighted Lands on the southern edge of the former Grand Duchy of Rosaria, named for the dragon that some tales say created the basin when it fell from the sky. Fallen airships dot its expansive waters like forgotten cenotaphs, leading some to liken it to a graveyard. Yeah, a bit like a starship graveyard, yeah, let's say that. Its remote location, far from any trade route and deep inside the Deadlands, made it an obvious choice for Clive when faced with rebuilding Sid's legacy. The fall of the hideaway. An assault by Hugo Kupka, Dominant of Titan, and his private guard on the first hideaway of Sid the Outlaw in the year 873. The safe haven, established amongst forgotten ruins long consumed by the Blight, was entirely destroyed, and many of Sid's collaborators and the bearers they had freed from servitude were slain. The Holy Empire of Sanbreque after the fall of Drake's Head. A nation occupying the northeastern reaches of the continent of Storm, after suffering the ignominy of losing Drake's Head to an audacious assault by the outlaw Sid in 873, the Empire set its sights on the Mother Crystal of its nearest neighbor, the Crystalline Dominion. Sanbreque's legions duly stormed the historically neutral territory and installed the imperial capital at Twinside. This brazen act of conquest sent shockwaves across Valistia and heightened the already considerable tension between the Empire and the Dalmatian Republic. Oriflamme, capital no longer. Former capital of the Holy Empire of Sanbreque. After its mother crystal was destroyed in an attack by Sid the Outlaw in the year 873, the decision was made to move the throne and her armies south to the Crystalline Dominion, regardless of whether or not the Dominion citizens approved. Oriflamme has since fallen gradually into decline, having lost the Mother's blessing and all the benefits it brought. Drake's Head after the Mother's fall. The Mother Crystal upon whose wings did Sanbreque ascend to geopolitical supremacy. It towered over the holy capital of Oriflamme, its mighty silhouette a testament to the power and permanence of the Empire. And then, in the year 873, it fell at the hand of Sid the Outlaw. The fall of Drake's Head. In the year 873, Sid the Outlaw, along with certain of his allies, infiltrated the Sanbrequois capital of Oriflamme, bringing down its Mother Crystal in a daring and unprecedented attack. Investigations after the fact concluded that the infiltrators took advantage of the disturbance caused by an ether flood to gain entry to the Empire's holy sanctum. In the aftermath of the incident, Sid was declared a wanted man, and the faction he led a criminal enterprise to be hounded across Valistia. Northreach, following the fall of Drake's Head. When Sanbreque moved its capital to the Crystalline Dominion, Northreach went from being a vital gateway to the seat of the Empire to a forgotten country backwater in a matter of moons. And with the fall of Drake's Head, the ether was soon leached from the lands around it, leaving the fields fallow and the once thriving environs barren and lifeless. The Dalmatian Republic in pursuit of Sid. A nation formed from a federation of 5 smaller states. It is located in the southern half of the continent of Storm and has its capital at Randella. Also home to the Mother Crystal known as Drake's Fang, inside which stands Castle Dasburg, home of Hugo Kupka, Dominant of Titan. Kupka, obsessed with finding Sid and exacting his revenge for the murder of Benedict Harmon, co-opted the soldiers of the realm and had them commit a series of atrocities in an attempt to flush him out of hiding. The Men of the Rock. Hugo Kupka's personal guard. On Kupka's orders, they ruthlessly gutted and destroyed Sid's original hideaway. Vengeance for the brutal beheading of Benedict Harmon. Wait, she was beheaded? But not by him, right? He left? He put the necklace on her and then left? But Kupka's thirst for revenge is not yet slaked, and it is with reckless abandon that he employs his minions to commit atrocities across the realm in a bid to drive Sid from hiding. Kosnitz, a town located in the rugged northern reaches of the Dalmatian Republic. Though it was once a thriving trading post, the coming of the Blight has served to both discourage travelers as well as drive off long-time residents. All that now remain are refugees fleeing from elsewhere, the black marketeers who prey upon them, and barely enough soldiers to keep the peace. Or rather, to pretend to when they are not being bribed to look the other way. The Kingdom of Valut following imperial occupation of Twinside. The sole surviving nation in Ash, Valut has its capital at Stonehere, home to the Mother Crystal of Drake's Spine. It is ruled over by Barnabas Tharm, dominant of Odin and Warden of Darkness, who has long harbored ambitions of extending his reach into the neighboring continent of Storm. Somewhat surprisingly, the Sunbreak-Poix Empire's incursion into the Crystalline Dominion prompted no immediate response from the king, who appears to be biding time and considering his next move. The Crystalline Dominion, a once independent state straddling the continents of Storm and Ash. So something like Switzerland. Yeah. Its capital, Twinside, is built on the tiny isles of Ark from which its mother crystal, Drake's Tail, rises. After Drake's head was destroyed in 873, the Holy Empire of Sunbreak declared Twinside its new capital in defiance of the long-standing non-aggression treaty. While controversial, the move carried out by Prince Dior and his Knights Dragoon? Knights Dragoon? Why would you say Dragoon Knights? That would make more sense to me, but okay. Proceeded mostly unopposed, largely due to the Dominion's lack of a dominant of its own with which to intimidate the interlopers. And lastly, lay of the land, non-aggression treaty. A pact in which was codified the agreement between nations to refrain from invading the Crystalline Dominion and laying claim to its mother crystal, Drake's Tail. It both cemented the Dominion's position at the center of world politics and placed checks on the ability of key players to exploit that position. On we go. Mysteries of the Realm. Heart of the Mother Crystal, the brightly shining convolution of shards that sits at the center of each Mother Crystal. When a heart shatters, so too does the mountain around it. Since time immemorial, sanctuaries have been built around the hearts for the worship and protection of these irreplaceable treasures. The Inner Sanctum, sacred chambers in which the hearts of the Mother Crystals are enshrined, believed to have been created before the time of the Fallen. They retain a portentous air even now, long after mankind has forgotten their significance. Ethereal tolerance, the ability to resist the effects of ethereal exposure. This is higher in bearers and dominants, allowing them to survive concentrations of ether that would turn any human who lacks their gift. Some animals, including chocobos, also have a natural resistance to the effects of ether, but one of the many reasons why the birds are so beloved across the Twins. Ether floods, pools of concentrated ether that form on the land's surface, thought to be caused by an imbalance in its diffusion beneath. Though ether is usually invisible, at flood level concentrations it takes on a blue glow. Those with a natural ethereal tolerance can survive exposure to a flood, at least for a short time, but most living things will eventually succumb to its effects, losing their minds and turning akashic. Magicked barriers. Some dominants have the ability to call upon a part of their icon's power to summon a ward, a nigh-impervious barrier that no magic nor matter can cross. However, its maintenance requires a continuous channeling of ether through the summoner's flesh, taking a heavy toll upon them. The larger the barrier, the greater the burden. Priming the icon's toll. The act of a dominant transforming their living flesh into that of their icon. Priming does not require a continual draw on the ether. It is rather maintained by the constant channeling of the vast quantities of ether imbued within the dominant's own body. This allows dominants to remain primed even when they enter the etherless Deadlands, but also results in the crystal's curse taking a heavy toll on them with every act of priming. Airship, Clive's hideaway. A legend has it that the people of the Fallen once sailed through the skies in the bellies of these ships, though all now lie shattered and silent on the surface below. The men and women of the present day are wont to repurpose these ruins for their own uses. Both the village of Lostwing and Clive's hideaway in Benumir being built around the wreckage of a fallen airship. Beasts. animals whose evolution has been warped by exposure to ether, some gaining the ability to cast magics. Unlike bearers, however, they seem to have developed little ethereal tolerance, so it is not uncommon to encounter akashic beasts in the vicinity of ether floods. Wild beasts are sometimes tamed by humans for use in warfare, the soldiers of Sunbreak having a particular fondness for those descendants of ancient dragons. Set the Outlaw, leader of the faction believed responsible for the shattering of Drake's Head in 873. With this single act of infamy, Sid's name quickly spread to the four corners of Valistia and beyond. Mythos, the name by which Ultima addresses Clive. It appears to be his title for the vessel for limitless power that he means to make of the young Lord Marquess. But to what end he requires such a thing, only Ultima knows. I have a feeling Ultima wants to combine all the icons and then be the all-powerful being, and I don't know if his goal is destroying the world or something, but yeah, it seems like most people in this story are power-driven. Yeah. And last mystery of the realm, Vessel. A name that the being known as Ultima gives to Clive. It appears to be synonymous with Mythos. Right, let's move on. The Bestiary. Ramuh, Hidden Truth. The Warden of Thunder, whose power most lately awakened within Stolfus Telemann. The dominance of the icon most often emerge among descendants of the Motes of Thunder, a tribe who once dwelt in the lands of Central Ash. Lands that the Kingdom of Velut now lays claim to, mayhap in part due to the tribe's comparatively advanced learning. Ramuh is associated with wisdom and judgment to this day. Typhon. I'm gonna say Typhon, not Typhoon, because it's just one O, so I hope Typhon is right. Seemingly drawn to the destruction of the heart of Drake's Head, Ultima emerged from a tear in reality, wearing the skin of Typhon, a withered and wizened colossus, and drew Clive into a space between worlds, wherein the ethereal entity might test his worth as a vessel. And then there's just one more. Panthers. Archetypal predators known best for their brilliant spotted coats and a proclivity to lives of solitude. As is the case with most felines, the animals are severely strong-willed, and efforts by the Republican army to harness their inborn speed and ferocity for use on the battlefield has been met with varying degrees of success. And with that, we are caught up with everything so far, and we'll just move on.
Did you learn everything you needed?
I think I did. Thank you, Harpocrates. So, what's next? Okay, we can go back. Actually, let's go back to Vivian right away, the state of the realm, to talk to her before we make our way here and continue home sweet home. Oh,
Not
what's
back
going
a
on?
blink and you're already off solving everyone's problems.
Tarja.
It looks good, Clive. Goes well with the scowl.
I'd had that brand for so long.
All right.
I'd forgotten what life was like without it.
The brand is
What it
gone.
was like.
At least most of it.
To be myself. And it's all thanks to you, Tarja.
The scalpel did most of the work. Ah, before I forget, a rider was here with a letter from Gav. Otto left it on your desk.
Wait.
Not a stolus. All right. I'll have a look.
And then you get some rest.
Yeah, sure. She said a scalpel. I thought they're burning it off. It looks like
Gav have thought worthy
it actually
of a
looks
letter.
more like a burn, right? Yeah, it's more like a burn, not like a cut. Okay.
Here for
Vivian.
another of my lectures.
Oh, we have more to talk about. Let's ask about the Crystalline Dominion first, and then make our way up again.
My beloved homeland.
The crossroads of Valistia, where one only has to stroll the streets to hear news from every far-flung corner of the realm. Its mother crystal yields more shards than any other, and its lands even now remain untouched by the Blight. It is a blessed country indeed.
Or at least, it was.
Until Sunbreak elected to invade and establish a new holy capital upon twin sites, heretofore neutral shores. It pains me to see the land I loved so changed, and even more to know that I did not predict it. I knew that Emperor Sylvester had designs on the Dominion, but to abandon Oriflamme, the seat of the Holy Empire, since its inception, seemed too audacious a move even for him. Coming to the hideaway.
I admit,
When I took up my professor's bonnet and began teaching at the University of Canver, I did not think for a moment that I would one day count Sid the Outlaw among my pupils. But nor did I imagine that my fellow educators would have designs on my life. And we both know how that ended. Has it been a year already? Such is the peril of an overly inquisitive mind, I suppose. One is wont to uncover that which others would go to great lengths to ensure remained hidden. Were it not for you and our mutual friend having come to the rescue, my curiosity would likely have proved fatal. But instead, I was not only saved, but granted a new lease of life, as personal tutor to a band of outlaws no
A
less.
far more reputable fellowship.
Than anything in the academic world, I assure you. Now let's talk about her.
One would think.
My role was abundantly clear by now. I offer you and yours the guiding light of knowledge, that of matters military and political, both past and present, that it might illuminate your way ahead. For it is only by understanding what has come before that one might steer one's way toward a brighter future. Your role, meanwhile, is to ensure that I remain furnished with as much information on the state of the realm as your people can muster, in order that I might continue to appraise the dispositions of the great nations and those who rule them. And, of course, to pay attention during my lectures. It would not do to appoint the storied Nine Tails as your tutor, only to disregard her expert advice. Alright, let's view the state of the realm.
How may I help you today?
Oh, okay. I thought she's just telling me another story or so. The state of the realm. By speaking with Vivian in the Hideaway's map room, Clive can review the state of the realm and learn more about the current goings-on in Valestir, revisit any of the Nine Tails' past lessons, or take a deeper look at the relationship of those individuals in Clive's orbit. Okay, good. Well, let's start with... Let's take a look at past lessons.
Once more?
Ah, yeah, that's the one we have seen before. Good. Then let's take a look at the Grand Cast.
Of course.
The Grand Cast, here you can view a detailed visualization of character relationships in Final Fantasy XVI that updates as you progress through the main scenario. Use L1 and R1 to cycle through pivotal milestones in Clive's adventure. Aha. Okay. Ah, okay. Let's keep it like this, and we're gonna read first and foremost. Can I zoom out somehow? No, I can't. Zoom. Right stick. Ah. Alright, we have the main protagonists. We have the Grand Duchy of Rosaria and a bunch of connections. Okay. Just want to see what happens if I click on it. Yeah, I thought so. I thought so. It's gonna give me exactly what I thought it would give me. Same with this one, right? Yes. Yes. Okay, okay, okay. Very nice. So, we're gonna take a look at the top text at first. Rosaria marches. We're starting in the year 860. With the Blight pressing at Rosaria's borders and forcing ever more citizens of the duchy from their homes, Archduke Elwin rallies his nation to take up arms against the Iron Kingdom and wrest Drake's breath from their grasp. Yet tradition dictates that they must first march north to Phoenix Gate to perform the rite of ancestral communion. Alright, let's see what Persons of Interest does. Ah, then you can just click on them. Interesting. Nice, nice. Alright, let's press R1 and take a look what happens. And just go a little bit higher. Ah, interesting. You see the still see the difference to the connections and who's missing and whatnot. We have the year. Which year is it? It was 860. Now we have the Night of Flames. Acting in concert with the treacherous Duchess Annabella, Imperial forces attack Phoenix Gate. From the chaos arise two icons of fire. The fateful battle between them reducing all to ash. On we go. Next switch. Ah, now we have the Holy Empire of Sunbreak there, and the Kingdom of Valut and the Dominican Republic as well. Joshua's still missing. He looks like he's dead. Elwin is dead. And, yeah. Death in the Defile. This is after 873. The Iron Kingdom's unholy crusade is on the march once more, this time into the arid wastes of Dalmekia, where the Republic musters its main host in the depths of the Nisa Defile. Alarmed by the size and ferocity of the Ironblood horde, the Dalmekas call on the aid of their long-standing ally Valut as the two sides meet each other in bloody battle A small group of Imperial soldiers infiltrates the fray in pursuit of their own target. And on we go. Even more stuff happening. This is it. Now we are at Sid's hideaway. Okay, remember that. Who else is dead over here? Tiamat. Yeah, Tiamat died. But then again, these two should be dead already as well, because the Night of the Flames is over. Cloaks and daggers. With Shiva lost and the Iron Blood in disarray, Dalmikia is no longer in need of the loot's aid. Benedicta and her band of intelligences do not immediately return to their homeland, however, but take a detour to Sanbreque and the village of Lostwing, staying out of sight of the Imperial legions all the while. And on we go. Caer Norvent is the next one. Yeah. To Caer Norvent. Their work in Lostwing done, Benedicta and her intelligences press on to Caer Norvent, where they overthrow and occupy the poorly guarded Imperial outpost. There, they hold the Dominant's attendant captive, that they might have captured him in turn. And on we go. Garuda's Rage. Sid and Clive best the Veluda force occupying Caer Norvent, and a combination of Benedicta's winds and Dominant of Fire's flames finish the rout, shaking the castle to its foundations. Cut down by Clive, Benedicta flees, only to be set upon by footpads on the road and losing what little grip remained on her powers. On we go. Battle of Belina's Tor. As battle rages atop Belina's Tor between the legions of Sanbreque and the Royal Knights of Belud, Odin and Bahamut clash in the skies above them. Neither side is able to take the upper hand, leading to a bloody stalemate with the holy capital in disarray and reinforcements not forthcoming. It falls to Prince Dion to break it. Salvation at the King's Fall. Sid's rendezvous with Gav at the King's Fall is forestalled by the presence of Imperial soldiers in hot pursuit. It falls to Clive to save the harried scout from certain death, after which he is only too willing to share what he knows of the Dominant of Fire, who fled from Caer Norvent, that the man and his attendant make for the former duchy of Rosaria. And on we go, a duchy despoiled. Clive and Jill return to Rosaria to find that the lot of its bearers has plunged since Annabella became vicereine. However, in the far northern reaches, they discover a vestige of the old duchy, the village of Eastpool, where bearers who fled from Rosalith upon its sacking by the Iron Blood remain to this day, their protectors unwilling to surrender them to the Imperial Constabulary. The end of Eastpool. Acting on the orders of Empress Annabella, Imperial soldiers sack Eastpool and put the villagers to the sword, all for the crime of harboring bearers without the Empire's consent. Meanwhile, in Dalmikia, Hugo Kupka orders his men to hunt down Sid, the man he believes murdered his lost love. Onward to Oriflamme. With ever more Imperial land being lost to the Blight, the Holy Emperor and his council make plans to march on the Crystalline Dominion in pursuit of greener pastures. But as they ready their legions, Sid, Clive and Jill plot an invasion of their own to infiltrate the holy capital of Oriflamme and redouble the Empire's woes. The Drake decapitated. And now we see Ultima for the first time here. Yes. Drake's head falls, plunging all of Oriflamme into panic and despair. From the ruins arises a rumor that the cracking of the Mother Crystal was the work of Sid and his outlaw band. And then we are here, Sid the Second, present day. 5 years have passed since the fall of Drake's head, and yet the Legion of Sid the Outlaw lives on. Clive has adopted both his fallen friend's name and his cause, and now leads the rebuild hideaway's efforts to liberate bearers in Sid's stead. Yeah, okay. It looks like we will see her at some point again. I still don't understand why these two are not like Rodney and Hannah and Alvin, like Grey and dead, because they should be dead. They were in the flames as well. Sid is dead, Tiamat is dead, Benedicta is dead, Gerulf is dead. Yes, we have seen that. Alrighty then. And now let's take a look at Situation Map, an overview of current and past Valestian affairs. Vivian Ninetails, allow me to educate you. Oh, nice.
One must understand one's place in the world.
The Situation Map. Here you can view a detailed overview of current and past events relevant to Clive's story that updates as you progress through the main scenario. Use L1R1 to cycle through pivotal milestones in Clive's adventure. Alright, we're gonna start at the beginning. Hoopala. I like it. This is really, really cool. Okay. There's a lot you can actually see, and you can get details and stuff. And this is, yeah, it's still the same. Okay. Alright, I think... Yeah, I think we're not gonna... Well, actually, we're gonna take a look at everything. Yeah, that's a little bit different. Okay. Yeah, so we're gonna take a look at what we can see at the map, and every time we will see Clive, we're gonna take a look what happened there. Actually, this is just like a recap what we have seen before, what we have read before. It's just a different way to visualize it, so feel free to skip it. I think it's really interesting to see it like this. Alright, actually we can... No, keep it like this. The Knight of Flames. Taken captive by the Empire, Clive does all in his power to save his brother and father from the Imperial infiltrators, but alas, it is not enough. The Phoenix awakens and runs rampant, and in the ensuing maelstrom, Clive blacks out. He is found in the rubble in the next morning and enslaved by the Imperial army on his mother's orders. Seized by San Brek. So, Clive's still at Phoenix Gate. San Brek is infiltrating Rosalith, and the Iron Kingdom uses their forces as well with the Iron Crusade. As soon as word of the death of Rosaria's leader and dominant reaches the Iron Islands, they invade, encountering little resistance on the road to Rosalith. Not to be outdone, San Brek launches an invasion of its own, driving the Crusaders from the shores of Storm and incorporating the duchy into the Empire. Drafted into the Imperial Allegiance, Clive survives the tragedy of Phoenix Gate, only to be forcibly recruited into the Imperial army and spirited away to San Brek on his mother's orders. He would not return to his homeland again for many a long year. Death in the Defile. Infiltration of the Nisa Defile. Clive is dispatched to the Nisa Defile as a member of the Bastards, an elite Imperial assassination squadron. Together with his branded brothers-in-arms, he pursues the Ironblood army in order to take the head of the dominant of Shiva. However, all does not proceed as planned, and he is saved from certain death by a stranger named Sid. To Caer Norvent. In pursuit of the dominant of fire, their ambitions aligning, Clive and Sid form a temporary alliance. After driving the last vestiges of the Veluda force from Lostwing and freeing the imprisoned villagers, they follow Benedicta to Caer Norvent in pursuit of the dominant of fire. Garuda's Rage. Escape from Caer Norvent. Clive defeats a semi-prime Benedicta in single combat and absorbs the ether of her icon. After he and Sid escape from the crumbling castle and send Gav on the trail of the dominant of fire, Clive hears a voice calling to him, addressing him by the name Mythos, and follows it into Garuda's vortex. Battle of Belina's Tor. Return to the hideaway. The whispering of a familiar voice compels Clive to prime into the second icon of fire, Ifrit, and put an end to Garuda's frenzy. Sid carries the unconscious Clive back to his hideaway and claps him in irons that he might be prevented from doing himself any further harm. Salvation at the King's Fall. Rendezvous with Gav. After learning that he is the dominant of fire who slew his brother, Clive longs only for oblivion. Yet Sid suggests another option, to go with him to the King's Fall, that they might learn what Gav has discovered of the other man they believed to be a dominant of fire. A duchy despoiled. En route to Phoenix Gate. After bidding Sid farewell at Martha's Rest, Clive and Jill continue their journey, passing through the village of Eastpool along the way. A chance encounter with Hannah Murdoch, wife of Clive's mentor and Lord Commander who never returned from Phoenix Gate, redoubles their resolve to journey to the ruins and uncover the truth of that fateful night. The end of Eastpool. Allegiance with Sid forged. Shaken by the slaughter at Eastpool, Clive returns to the hideaway with a newfound resolve to clasp arms with Sid and see the persecution of bearers ended. The Drake decapitated. The fall of Drake's head. Clive destroys the heart of Drake's head, but it comes at the cost of Sid's life, and very nearly their own, after they are set upon by a bizarre, otherworldly being, only to be saved at the last moment by Clive's younger brother Joshua, alive after all these years. The Empire's new dominion. With the realm still reeling from Sid's destruction of Drake's head, Holy Emperor Sylvester sees the Crystalline Dominion's neutrality treaty cast to the pyre. His forces quickly overwhelm Twin Sides' defenses, securing the city as the new capital of the Holy Empire. The hideaway rebuilt. Clive returns to the hideaway to find it in ruins, devastated by Hugo Kupka and his minions. He refuses to let Sid's dream die, however, and rallies the survivors behind him, eventually leading them to build a new home in the heart of Benumir. Clouds over Storm. So, we are at the present day. San Brek's conquest of the Crystalline Dominion is complete, but while the Demikian army amasses near the Dominion's borders, their dominant Hugo is rather more interested in tormenting his own nation's bearers, all to ensnare Sid the Outlaw, the one he believes murdered his love. Takes Sid's name. 5 years have passed since Sid died, and Clive has taken over where his friend left off. He and Jill journey to Kostnitz, a ramshackle refugee settlement in Dalmikia, where a local informer reports that Hugo Kupka's minions are holding a group of bearers hostage. Right. Okay. Yeah, very interesting. I enjoy this too. This is even more lore. I'm a big lore goblin, just to get more immersed and stuff. So we're gonna come back
Very good.
very often, just take a look what's new and what we can learn. And now... Alright, yeah, actually, we have Ramuh channeled now. Let's take a look what we have. Pile Drive. Drive Ramuh's staff into the ground, electrifying all enemies within a radius of the strike. Judgment Bolt. Summon from the heavens a mighty 11 bolt that deals massive damage to a single target. Yeah, that's a lot of damage. I'm gonna need that, especially if my enemy is staggered. This could be quite useful. Lightning Rod. Create a ball of lightning that, upon being struck, chains lightning to other nearby enemies. Aha. Okay, interesting. Thunderstorm. Call forth a powerful thunderstorm that rains multiple bolts of lightning down upon a target. Blind Justice. Launch a barrage of ball lightning at one or more enemies. Targets are determined by logging onto them before executing the ability. Ball lightning will affix itself to a target and can be caused to discharge, dealing additional damage if the target is attacked. Alright, then which one do we have at this point? We have Pile Drive and we have Thunderstorm. I would like to get this Judgment Bolt, to be honest. I just don't have the ability points for that. Then I would have to get rid of the Limit Break and reset it. Actually, I want to do this, yep. Yep. So, first of all, we're gonna upgrade this once. And now we have enough points for Judgment Bolt. Oof. Nice, nice. Alright then. I think this is fine. Yeah, there's only one more thing to do. We're gonna continue and talk to... Oh no, we don't talk to Gav. We read Gav's letter to continue Home Sweet Home.